All right, welcome, kings and queens. Y'all, we are back and we are talking the criminal mind, Ernesto Williams. Lord have mercy. I got a lot to say. I have a lot to say. I've listened extremely carefully. Chronicle Speaks was kind enough to update us on yet another fourth wife. Y'all, there's another woman. I think there's more. I think there's more. In my opinion, I said it on part 4 of Criminal Mind. Today is part 5. Now that I know that Lamont and Dion, which are two of his sons, that they listen, I got a lot to say. There's a lot going on with this, and we're gonna unpack it today. So listen, before we get started, I just want to say bigamist, narcissistic, sociopathic. I need to see some data because I am starting to wonder and or question if there's a high level of or findings of Black men having high cases or probabilities of being narcissist or narcissistic or have, you know how like when they give you the data and the healthcare research about cancer in Black women and how Black women have the most aggressive forms of cancer, they can't tell you why, but the data states that it exists. I would like to know and or see the data for narcissistic traits and or diagnosis in African American men, because this is just it's starting to appear more normal and normal and normal. And then I had to ask myself, is it normal because we have technology and now it's up close and up front in our face? Or has it always been there and we just didn't have a name or a term to put on it? Have women always suffered like this at the hands of their men? And they just were too embarrassed or they just didn't know what to say. Hell, maybe everybody was speechless. Is this a new phenomenon, y'all? Or in your opinion, has it always existed? Yeah. Now, if we were to gather this data, it's going to be hard because let me tell you why. Black men are the most reluctant to attend counseling and or therapy and also to go to their doctor's appointments. Okay. Most men won't even go. But Black men, you lucky if you get them to talk about anything, okay? So we would actually have to start with those that are incarcerated in prison because unfortunately, a higher percentage of Black men are in prison. Now, you know what? I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's jump in. For those of you who are just tuned in, or if you're new to the channel, welcome to the palace. I am Queen Sheba. I cover a variety of hot topics specific to reality television, but most importantly, I hone in on the psychological and the behavioral traits of the Black experience.
Subscribe now.
Okay. The original Mrs. Ernesto Williams have come forward, and she is stating her claim as the rightful wife, the only wife, the legal wife. Are you shocked? The first thing I thought is, why now? After I heard that they were married 38 years, why not say something when you saw him parading around town with Shirley Strawberry? Y'all, this is not adding up to me. None of this makes any sense. None of it. The more details that come out from the prison call and the more details and research that Chronicle Speaks is able to share with us, it's just not adding up to me. I'm looking at everybody sideways, and I'm talking about everybody. Shirley, I have a sweet spot in some areas for Shirley when it comes to Grace. He's not that hard to find. Ernesto was not hard to find. It's not like he was in a different country. He was right there in front of everybody. He had a social media. He was right there. And most of these women, if not all, have children by him. So he was not hard to find. And from the looks of it, if I am correct, most children, with the exception of a few, 2, maybe 3, did not have contact with him anymore as adults for their own safety reasons. But other than that, he was not hard to find. So I'm scratching my head. Now, my question to you, Edith, is it because you know for sure that there's no come up off of this? And follow me very closely, y'all. Were you sitting back, waiting in a cut, waiting for something to possibly happen to this man so that you could make a rightful claim to his assets by way of Shirley Strawberry? Because you knew legally you would have the last laugh. Is that what you were doing? Because none of this makes sense. It's giving. I may as well say something now, child, because what I thought was going to happen ain't happening or didn't happen. Okay. It doesn't make sense for any wife in her right mind to watch her husband parade around with a celebrity of sorts and sit back and not say a word. Does that even sound normal to any of you? Maybe I'm just tucked in a hole somewhere in a different part of the world and I don't understand how the game works, but this is not adding up to me. And I'm looking at you, specifically you, Edith. I got a lot of questions. I'm not picking up what you're putting down. I need you to answer a lot of questions, but I need more background information from Edith and also Martha, because both of you had some tenure and longevity with this man, and both of you were willing participants. Now, Martha did do her due diligence to file. He fought back, she pushed, he pushed, she pushed, and she laid off, and then she came back strong in 2021, and she made it do what it needed to do by way of legally divorcing him. But Edith, the real Mrs. Ernesto Williams, that's you, Edith. You were married to this man for 38 years. For 38 years. That puts him between the age of 21 to 22 when he married you. That's another reason I don't believe in letting younger people get married just for the sake to be married, because you got to know. You got to vet each other out, parents. And although it's important that we say, well, you know what, my kids are doing something different than I've done, vet them out. I don't care. Don't be so eager to change the narrative and, break generational codes that you're not doing your due diligence and vetting people out, doing background checks and researching who the hell these people are. Okay? Because then you run into situations like this. Now, Edith, my question to you is, when did he leave the home? What year? And I'm not talking about the in-betweens when women let a man leave, he comes back, you let him leave, he come back. I'm talking about finito, done, finished. When did he officially leave the home? I'm not talking about a divorce, but when you knew he's done. When did you pack his shit up? That's my first question. My second question is, has either Edith or Martha remarried? Don't look at me crazy. What you mean? Don't say, what you mean remarried? Listen, at this point, I told you I'm looking at everybody sideways. Okay? At this point, it's a very valid question if you consider the circumstances. Because ain't no way that you have all of your marbles in check and you could deal with a man of that character that long. So in my opinion, there has to be somewhat of a flawed character from these women that have done 5+ years with him. Because the other lady, I think her name is, I promised myself I would remember her name. It starts with the C. She was 2 years in and she was like, oh, hell no. The rest of you, I'm questioning some type of character flaw, whether it's self-esteem, whether it's whatever. Okay, 5+ years. So have either Edith and or Martha remarried. And they'll say, well, it's illegal. Child, everything is illegal at this point that they doing, okay? I'm looking at everybody. That's my first question. Do they have a man? Do the man lives within the home? Did they go on to have more children? Or did you just sit back in your home and cry over Ernesto? I got a lot of freaking questions. That's the second thing. According to the Chronicle Speaks, Edith said Ernesto did not touch her kids and or her grandkids. Now, I got to pause on that one because how you know that, ma'am? You don't know that. Not all kids tell, especially considering the fact that this man is still your husband and you take pride in him being the husband. You take pride in being the only authentic, genuine, legal wife because you said, according to Chronicle Speaks, that Martha is not the first wife. I am. And she's not legal. That tells me you still have a level of esteem about being associated with this man. So how do you know? Because sometimes we can indirectly set the scene for kids to not be able to trust that they can come to us, especially if they gather the sense that you worship the ground that this man walks on. Now, I'm leaning towards that way because you ain't divorced him. You ain't made a move. You ain't made a move to clear your name. And what I mean by clear your name is divorcing him, walking away. How come? What are you holding on to? It's been a sum of 38 years, 5 extramarital babies, 3 sister wives. So you can't possibly know what he did or did not do to other people when it comes by way of your kids and or your grandkids. Because look at the shit he did to you. So what makes your offspring exempt? And are you saying that because you don't want to face the fact that something could have happened? Now, I'm not trying to put this on that lady. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is we don't know until we know. And with you sharing that publicly, nah, he ain't do nothing, he ain't do nothing. Now you just close the door. And if he did do something, that's going to be real hard for them to come to you in confidence because mama, you done already spoke. Okay? Your commitment, and I'm going to tell you why. It seems like your commitment to this foolishness, it runs deep. It seems like it runs really. Now, the bulk of this commentary is primarily focused on Edith because she stayed forever. Forever, forever. 38 years is all of your life. All of your life, legally tied to a man that you knew meant you no good since age of 2021. And I just want to say, ladies, please be very careful on speaking emphatically about what did or did not happen to kids. Be careful that you don't become their voice or stifle or smother their voice. The best we can do, all of us, is say, God forbid. Oh, I hope not. Or not to my knowledge. Because according to the statistics, especially in Black communities, that's like the forbidden fruit when we talk about what goes on in the household. First of all, if you are believed as a young Black girl or a young Black child, because we tend to prioritize and elevate protecting Black men over everybody else when it comes to our community, okay? Whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm just saying, that's the consensus. That's normally the trend. And according to statistics, do you know how many adults are walking around carrying deep, dark secrets of being touched and or violated by the likes of an Ernesto Williams, allegedly? I'm for real. I'm just giving you a persona. Do you know how many coworkers, how many men and women you sit next to in church, people you pass every day, places you go to shop, places you go to eat, people in your own family have been touched by somebody in your family and will never speak on it? Speak on it because typically it's the family fave, the family favorite, the one we all have come to know and love, and we will do anything to protect their reputation and or their of us. You don't know until you know it. We hope that's not the case, and God forbid, Lord have mercy, all of that good stuff, but we don't really know until we know. Okay? But it sure as hell makes it hard for a child or an adult child to say something when I see my mama standing by her man and her marriage no matter what he has done. And only into 2019, mama, you go and pull a certificate of marriage because of what? What happened in 2019 that all of a sudden you need to prove that you've been married to Ernesto Williams? Did you need to get some money? Did he need you to do something? Did you find out something? Did you need to clear your name? That's why I say, you guys, it's not adding up to me. Why did you? Or did you feel like you needed to prove that you were the real Mrs. Ernesto Williams? And that's 2019, because at this point, we know he's married to Shirley Strawberry, in my opinion. If you found Chronicle Speaks, you knew damn well he was married to Shirley Strawberry. Okay, 2019, 20, 21, 22, 23. What kept you hanging on and what kept you sitting back in a cut? Okay, even if you didn't want to speak out, how come you didn't go and establish your own dignity by saying, you know what, I'm not going to let this man do this to me? We done. Or did you need to be the wife? Because some women need to be the wife. Some women need to be the mistress. Some women need to be the baby mama, whatever it is that makes you feel better about being the first, the only, the alpha, the omega, the beginning and the end. Because that's what it seems like you're standing on. And I'm not attacking you. I just got a lot of freaking questions. I got a lot of questions, and you came forward boldly. What do you stand to gain? What's in this for you? Now, this leads me to my closing argument, or my closing point, actually a question. Would this legally make Edith responsible for all of his debt? Because you said, I'm the only wife. I'm the legal wife. I'm this, I'm that. Okay. So with that being said, and with that being affirmed with confidence by you, are you now responsible, or would this make her responsible for all of his legal dealings, period? Because in my opinion, Edith was well aware, or had become well aware at some point, that this man was marrying other women. How does the state look at that? Everybody looking at Shirley. I'm looking at her now. Shirley didn't know about you. I'm looking at you now. Martha didn't know about you. You knew about Martha. So how does this change the legalities for you? Okay. And I'm talking about his expenses, his obligations. Now that you've been known or made known as the legal Mrs. Ernesto Williams. Y'all stay tuned. Y'all stay tuned, because this is about to get really, really crazy. And Edith, I don't know. If I were you, I probably would have stayed behind the bushes on this.